Hi, and welcome to the DEI Drive Through, a podcast in collaboration with Diversity Collective Lanka and Luminary Learning Solutions. It's a podcast where we explore topics on the spectrum of D, E, and I in hopes of finding a middle ground, but also widening and sharing a holistic perspective. Now, this week's topic is a rather interesting one and also perhaps one that is time bound and variable as well. Research has found that approximately 30% of Sri Lanka's adult population suffers from mental health issues, with men bearing a disproportionate burden of severe, untreated mental health struggle. On top of that, further statistics by the ADVA finds that nearly 1 in 10 men experience depression or anxiety, but less than half will receive treatment. So, this begs the question that while we empathize and pour a lot of effort into how we raise our girls, is that perhaps a way we need to raise our boys in the 21st century? This week, we're bringing to you Soft, Strong, or Silent Masculinity in the Age of the Algorithm. Exploring this topic with me this week is Saroshi Nandasiri. She's the founder and chair of the Women's International Foundation, a national platform advancing women's empowerment in Sri Lanka. With her leadership, the Women International Foundation has become a trusted voice, pioneering initiatives such as Adaraniya Tata. This program engages men in gender equality, joining global alliances such as UNFP's Equity 2030. She's also a recipient of multiple prestigious awards and was selected as one of only 22 women worldwide for the Eisenhower Fellowships 2024 Women's Leadership Program. Saroshi, thank you for being here. It's a pleasure to have you.
Pleasure. Thank you very much.
So, to start off my questions with you for this day, I actually do have a lot because I think the work you do is so interesting as well as valuable as well.
Thank you.
I'd specifically like to look into your program and the objectives and the work that the program drives. But to also ask you that given the fact that we are in the 21st century, a time that has socially and technologically advanced so rapidly, that do you think we need to change our boys any differently and raise them differently than we do currently? But I think the question also stems from the fact that because there's this popular notion to say that men need to be tough, they need to be stoic, they need to be macho. But in an age where we're trying to break away from them, from those notions, and we're trying to teach men to be a little softer, gentler, and vulnerable, how do you really draw the line between a man being soft and kind and vulnerable and still being perceived as strong?
Right. Very good entry into this discussion. So before I start answering your question, I have to emphasize on one point here. We are not trying to make boys as girls. We are not going to do that. What we are trying to, what you and from the art program, what we are trying to do is to raise boys and girls as whole human beings. That's our purpose and that's our effort. Having said that, now I will go back to the program, particular program, what you just said, Adaraniya Tata, Dear Father, as we call it. So this program we started in 2023. So for almost about 2 years with Women's International, with Rotary, Uptown, with Samurdi and the divisional secretariats in Colombo district, we are pioneering this program. It's a strategic national movement that we are building. We are talking to men. We are engaging men. It's a male engagement program, but in a very holistic manner. We are also getting women into the equation as well this time, so that we are having very healthy dialogue, conversations, because we found there is a lot of ignorance from different perspectives. So we are trying to break all of that. So in this whole program, we have spoken to about 500 officials. We have spoken to close to about 600 women community leaders, 1,200 fathers, and overall about 2,500 people on this particular topic. So with that research finding, with that dialogue, those discussions, those observations, arguments, I am going to share this information with you. So how should we raise our boys in the new century, in the 21st century? Because this is a very challenging time, very different world that we live in. First thing that we have seen is from day one itself, we have been planting the seeds of violence in our boys' minds. Look at the toys we give them. It's guns. We give guns. We give video games. And all these video games are full of violence. From the toys, and look at the messaging we are giving up our kids. We say gun, retaliation which is driven with ego, right? Kahawat gahan, all violence. So with these messages, boys don't cry, boys are boys, right? All these messaging from toys to the messaging, what we are, this is, I completely believe that our mothers and fathers are doing this not knowingly. There is a large percentage of ignorance in our community. We don't know about these things. So without knowing, we are putting these seeds in the mind of our children, especially boys. So they grow up as, they think, they associate strength with violence. So while strength equals violence. You need to be strong. What is strong? It is violence. So they resort to that. So result is, we see a lot of violence against women, violence against children. Lot of issues are happening. And this is destroying our families and our societies. This is detrimental. And these are toxic masculinities. Masculinities are not bad. Masculinities, there is no problem with masculinities. But narrow definitions of masculinities, like these ones, those need to change. So that is the first one. So we need to be very careful with the messaging we are putting. We need to be careful with what we give our children to play with. Definitely not violence. Second part is what we have seen, what we have been hearing from these conversations, from this dialogue, is that our people have a huge problem, especially men. They have a huge problem in communication. Especially, they don't know how to express their emotions safely. This is a huge problem. They try to suppress emotions. Right? We say, boys don't cry, right? Men are macho, right? Yeah. So you're suppressing your emotions. So you're not comfortable enough to put it out. And you don't want to ask for help. You can't, right? That is not masculine, right? So you can't. So as a result of all these things, we don't know how to talk to each other. We don't have healthy communication, conversations, dialogue, even with kids, even with the wife, even with the partner. We don't have those conversations. So what we have seen is, when even the sexual relationships, what I want, what my husband wants, what my wife wants, we should be able to communicate very freely, and we should be confident enough to communicate. Otherwise, we will be left very unsatisfied, dissatisfied. But that communication is not happening. So these conversations is a huge problem. So we need to actually help our boys when we are parenting. We need to help our boys, especially boys, in confidently communicating. This leads to good relationships. This also leads to them expressing them, not bottling their emotions inside. Because when you bottle your emotions inside, what happens is, you go into something called the victim loop. You become a victim of unhappiness, dissatisfaction, stress, all of that. So you become a victim. So victim loop is detrimental. So to avoid that, we need to slowly and very in a beautiful way teach our, especially boys, girls, boys equal, but especially boys, how you communicate well. So communication is very important. And Sakya, another important thing is, we had this dialogue, right? So I told you that during the our program, it was a father's program for males, right? Fathers coming in, male engagement. But then somewhere down the line, we thought to make these conversations, we are creating a dialogue, and it was a rich dialogue. We hear from the fathers, and they were so confident, so comfortable talking, right? Because they have never been heard before. So we created that space for them, and they started talking. So we thought, my good gracious, it's interesting if we bring in the mothers also, women. So we did that, right? So a lot of community leaders, these are community leaders, women community leaders who walked into the dialogue. And then we asked men, what is your biggest problem with women in terms of women? Can you guess what their answer was? They said Ganu Cutter. Ganu Cutter was the biggest problem for men. Now, I don't have an English word for this because it's what they were explaining what it was, and they said it's the pitch. It's how you talk, how women talk. It's the style. It's the frequency. It's the context. It's a culmination of so many different things. Ganu Cutter, right? So this is a reflection of how the stereotypes perpetuated in the society. And also this shows you about gender norms, about gender roles, right? And it's a real reflection of how these norms, the roles socialized in our community. It's a beautiful depiction of that. And then we asked women, what is your response to this, right? So they are complaining about this. What is your response? They said, well, we have to keep repeating for them to do something. They don't do stuff. We tell them to do this, something, right? And then you have to keep repeating, keep reminding, but still it's not done. So you have to talk to them. You have to sometimes scream, sometimes. So what they're complaining about was the fact that men don't take accountability and men don't take responsibility. So when we had this conversation, when we went deeper into this conversation, something we realized was this is something amazing that we realized, that in our society, accountability and responsibility is one of the biggest problems of our men. And as a result, we see fatherlessness happening in the society. Father is there, but actually absent. So fathers are absent from the children's life. Fathers are absent from the families. Fathers are actually withdrawing themselves. Fatherlessness is slowly emerging. So accountability is taking ownership. Responsibility is your obligation towards the society. So accountability is to you and to your family. Responsibility is for the society. So this is a huge thing that is lacking in our society. So schools, the family, the society, all three together should help our boys, especially, right, learn this important lesson. How to be accountable, how to be responsible. So in Adarniya Tata, in the Dear Father program, the entire program is based on 3 pillars. First one is creating a non-violent father. Second one is creating a responsive father who is accountable and responsible. Third pillar is equitable father. So I'm coming to my third point here. The sharing of the responsibility, workload. So that is also an important thing. There is nothing called women's work anymore. It's the family work. Our boys, and they are all cleaning, cooking, what else? Washing, all that, right? It's life skills. It's not women's work, right? It's life skills. We need to teach our boys, our sons, equally with our daughters, how they should learn these survival skills, these life skills, right? Then only they will carry the share burden, the shared responsibilities in their households. Otherwise, what happens is, I see a lot of, especially few people from our age group, as well as Gen Zs, they are saying, or most of the girls, why would I get married? I mean, I don't see a point in getting married, right? Why do I do that? I don't need to get married. I don't want to suffer. I'm educated, right? And I have good health. I live longer. Women live longer. So I'm okay. Why would I suffer myself? Just like what our parents did. I don't want to. I'm very independent and I'll enjoy my life. So we see that lot of people, this family is very important. For any society, family unit is very important, right? So family unit is actually being threatened. So these are the decisions we make, decisions we take, they actually have macro level impact. So that is why how I raise my son determines Sri Lanka's future. How I raise my daughter determines Sri Lanka's future. It impacts our economy, it impacts our society, it impacts our culture, it impacts our security, it impacts our sustainable development. So it is very important that we adopt the right things. And the other thing that all these what I'm just telling you is based on the observations, the information, the research we have had from these dialogues we have done across these fathers circles and fathers sessions. So they are real stuff. So these are things that we need to share with our mothers or with our fathers, right? How we should actually raise our kids, especially boys, in the 21st century.
Absolutely. And I think that was absolutely wonderful. So, thank you. That was a lot of information, but also a lot of valuable information. And given that it is research backed by the work you do itself, I think adds a lot of weight to the fact that we do have an issue at hand that we do definitely need to address when it comes to raising our boys. Because I think one thing that you said that really struck me was the fact that the impact that it has on multiple levels, because we think that all of this has an impact just on us,
Yes.
as an individual,
Yes.
or the unit we belong to,
Yes.
never realizing probably the social and even the economical impact that all of this does have consequently on everyone.
Correct.
And one thing that I find really interesting, even through your program, is you are facilitating a series of conversations.
Correct.
And something that we find so difficult, which I think should be the basic of all skills, is the ability to communicate. And we see that as a common issue everywhere. Workplaces, I did some research on Gen Zs, and one of the biggest challenges they are having is actually communicating with their bosses at work. We see that even children today have an issue in terms of communicating with their parents. And when we see that issue taking place, it honestly makes you question, why is communication the most fundamental thing when it comes to human interaction and human beings as individuals? Why is it that communication is so difficult for us?
That is how I express myself, right?
Yes.
Communication is communication is not just words. It's how I look at you, how I dress up, right? Now I'm using my hands, right? I'm using my eyes, all that. Or I'm not even talking to you.
Correct.
My silence, right? All of that is part of communication. That is how I express myself. So expressing yourself, because we are all living as a herd in a community. We are not living alone, right? We can't live alone. We are living as a community. So when you live as a community with the others, one of the ways that you can exchange, right, with the other person is through means of communication. So you tell your problems, you tell whether you like it or not, you express yourself. So that is the basis for relationships. That is the basis for connectivity. Connectivity is important. We cannot live on our own. When we are raising kids, or there is a taboo, right, with men, that men have to be strong. Of course, men have to be strong. Not only men, women, kids, everyone, we have to be strong. But we associate strength with toughness, right? We associate this strength with toughness, right? Toughness, what is toughness? We think, okay, tough is when you're violent. Tough is when you suppress your emotions. When you can't be asking for help. You have to be that person. You know everything, right? And so we think that is toughness. That is wrong. Toughness is very rigid, right? Toughness is very rigid. Rigid breaks when you are in a pressured situation,
Yes.
right? When you're pressurized. I mean, look at the environment we are living in. There is so much of noise.
Correct.
You open up your social media,
Social media.
right? We are normal human beings.
Correct.
And so much of noise inside. With AI coming in, everything is so fast. You can't cope up with this pace. It's so fast. It's moving very fast. Competition is fast. Jobs are moving fast. Knowledge is fast. You have to keep up with it. And you are drained. Aren't you tired? I am drained. I was actually having a chat earlier. I was telling I'm drained because of the noise, because of this fast-paced environment. We are all stressed. So in a stressed environment, rigidness, if you think strong is rigidness, you break, you fail. That is when substance come into play. That is when alcoholism comes into play. That is, you name it. That is when all those come into play and you become victimized. You become a victim of all of this. Toughness, we need to replace toughness with resilience. So, strength should be resilience. Strength should be equal to resilience. That is what we need to give our kids. So, communication is very important. Communication is an essential part in building resilience in you, right? So, resilience is, we have to be emotionally vulnerable, but on the same time, we need to give them emotional intelligence, right? That is resilience. That is resilient. We need to teach our boys to be purpose driven. Now, that is part of resilience. We need to teach them to be flexible, adaptable. Agility is very important, right? You become like a sponge. You absorb good things. You become like this bottle, and this water, take any shape that it goes into, right? You become that agile person. That adaptability is very important, right? And you become respectful, right? A woman has the same right as I am to achieve, to go forward, to do whatever. That's being respectful, right? That's being equitable. We need that society, right? And also, resilience is also being empathetic, right? You have to be empathetic also. So, all of that is under resilience. So, strength shouldn't be toughness anymore. It should be resilient, right? Under resilient, one of the core component is how you communicate. How you communicate. You have to building that resilient muscle, and what helps that resilient muscle building is communication. I hope I answered your question.
No, certainly, because I think you really brought forward to light the importance of communication. And I really love the idea of how communication is an integral part of resilience. Because I think when you think of resilience, you equate it to almost having the ability to kind of cope up with what you have. And cope up doesn't necessarily mean bottling it up.
Absolutely not.
And I think that is a fundamental mistake we often make.
Yeah.
And we think that if you bottle it up, like you said, we assume that, and especially I think it's worse for men,
Yeah.
that you are macho if you do that.
Correct.
And like you pointed out, it comes to a point where anything under pressure breaks.
Absolutely.
And once you crack, you, I suppose, come to a point of no return.
Absolutely.
And I think it's very insightful because that is all the research that you have done into what it means in terms of how we are raising our men in the 21st century.
This is all coming from the conversations we had.
Exactly.
These are our normal
Normals.
mothers and fathers. Not only mothers and fathers, they brought in sometimes their kids. So we had the privilege of talking to the kids as well. All boys, girls, everyone, right? So from these dialogues, what we gathered were these amazing insights. And it's not, parents don't have to take a parenting course. I disagree with that. It's as basic as, I mean, my way of parenting is different to somebody else's.
Of course.
Given my situation, given my perspective, given my child's perspective, the context, everything. So we need to adapt, right? But if you know the basics, what we don't tell our people are the basics. We teach them XYZ, but what we don't tell them is ABC. What's missing is the basic ABC in our society. It's ignorant. That's something that I have realized. When you tell these fathers, right, the why why we do women's empowerment work, why we say that okay, fathers have to help mothers with cooking and household chores, why when we say how the fathers should get involved with the child's education, supporting the child, all they understand. They just simply understand. That's amazing. It's just been for a very long period. We have not had this dialogue. And we have completely shut down men to a great extent, right? We have not got men into this equation for a very long period of time. Reason is economically engaged.
Right.
You go to any temple, any church, or, mostly it's women that you would see. You go to any social gathering, it's mostly women because men don't get involved in these things predominantly because they are economically engaged. So when you have programs like whatever, so very difficult to get men engaged and to tell them. So to have that dialogue, it was a uphill task. I will tell you that. It was so difficult, so very tough. But we keep going on. We keep moving keep doing it, so that with time it'll slowly. It has been slowly picking up, one father at a time. But one thing is, they realize, they know, they understand. That's the beauty. That's the most encouraging aspect of it, right? They are ready to take it. It's just that how we give it to them. Whenever we talk about gender, whenever we talk about masculinity, right? Always there is a backlash. There is resistance. Because a lot of the time, these concepts are being misunderstood. And they think, oh, we are going against the culture. Actually not. We shouldn't go against the culture. Culture is there to protect us. Culture is there to protect us from harm. Culture is there to create that bond. Culture is a beautiful thing. It is what bonds us together. It is what keeps us together. It's a beautiful thing. You shouldn't go against culture. We can actually you can make sense. So it's not something that you go against the culture. It's something to help the culture. You're not definitely going against the culture. We are actually nourishing the culture. We are nourishing the Sri Lankan culture. We are because we need stronger families, right? When the father is strong, when the mother is strong, you give your children a very, very fertile soil to, come up. It's family is the breeding ground, right? So when the family bond is strong, kids become strong. We have amazing children coming out, right? And that is the Sri Lankan culture. So these kind of dialogue, this kind of knowledge sharing, that's amazing. You're not going against the culture. You're supporting, enriching the culture, and it's a strategic importance.
Absolutely. And I think that lined up very beautifully with my question to you, which you absolutely answered, which was I was thinking based on the research that you have brought forward, and in fact, even how we observe our culture, especially living in the kind of setting, the Sri Lankan setting that we do. There's this notion that if we tell our men to be a certain way, that we are rejecting the culture or that we are going past what men should be in a Sri Lankan setting. But I think the spin you bring onto it to say that we are not rejecting our culture, nor should we go against it. But it is these minor details that the
Very
violence,
small things.
correct, the small things. And I suppose that is the switch that we need to see.
Absolutely. 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 We have to fix those little things. And those are absolutely essential and acceptable to everybody.
Certainly.
Because everyone accepts.
Yes.
Harm, everyone says no.
No.
Violence, everyone says no. Right? Breaking under pressure, that rigidness, everyone says no. Right? And this should be Sri Lanka, don't laugh, but
all.
Sri Lanka, I am envisioning,
Yes.
is a Sri Lanka where we see zero violence for women.
Of course.
That has been one of my personal goals, right? Because if you raise amazing human beings, they respect each other. They won't harm anybody, right? They will be very beautiful people. This is the Sri Lanka we need to champion. And my effort, all our effort, should be towards that.
Couldn't agree with you even more. And I think you brought us to a lovely point in our conversation to wrap it up, because I think one thing that you mentioned at the beginning of the podcast was the need to build men that were accountable and responsible. And that is a lacking skill that we see in men in today's day and age. And I completely see that from a research perspective. If you take a look at the research, it all points to the lack of accountability and responsibility.
Yeah. So we as parents, we need to guide kids. We need to guide kids. This 0 to 20 is where we teach them the lessons of accountability and responsibility. Now, I show my son the responsibility of taking care of your parents, contributing to the society, right? And managing so many different things in one go. How do you do that? All that, they look at you, they listen to you, right? And you can tell them stories, right? When I do lectures and whatever, he sometimes sits, when he was small, he used to sit beneath my chair and he would listen. He would know everything, what I just speak to a lot of people. He would know all of that. So slowly, it's a slow process, but we can take them through that journey.
Thank you. And that is very powerful because, yes, I think my dad also always tells me, he says, we keep you and we teach you and we become your mentors, so to say, till you're 20. But after that, he says, it's like you're entering your second childhood because it's up to you to figure out certain things. But we've given you the backing and the values and the systems and the skills and the resilience to be able to venture forth with independence, but of course, always with accountability and responsibility.
Absolutely. And values.
And values.
And
strong values.
Very strong values.
And I think that brings us to a lovely point of our podcast. Thank you so much, Saroshi, for your time and for all the depth and knowledge that you have shared.
Thank you, Shakya, for inviting me. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And to our audience who has been listening in, we've taken you through challenging the stereotypes and the notions that we hold of men today in terms of being soft or strong, and what it means to be a man in the 21st century, and better yet, how we raise boys in today's day and age. So we certainly hope it has widened your perspective, given you a few tips in terms of how you can build responsible and accountable young men. So thank you for stopping by the DEI Drive-Through, a podcast where we drive dialogue, engage in equity, and inspire impact. Thank you.